the parents who are very, very anxious, and that anxiety feeds into the kids. So anxious parents, anxious kids. Hi, I'm Louise Miller. I've got 3 children now, 3 children in their 20s, 2 girls and a boy. And yeah, I'd just like to share with you some stories, I suppose, about the journey that I had raising them through their teenage years, which were very challenging. Well, the first thing, they're not as cute. So you haven't got that cuteness factor and you've lost control. And the more you fight to regain that control, the further away you get from it. You've got to live in the same house with almost adults that aren't adults, that haven't got an adult brain but think they have, while trying to balance a relationship with your husband and making sure you're on the same page, which is really important. Trying to balance the control, really, letting go but not letting go too much, and not always being successful at it. In fact, being probably more unsuccessful than successful at times. When you're actually in the middle of it, you don't realise how bad it is. It's like when you've gone through it and you've stepped back, then you think, gee, how did I survive that? At times I just wanted someone to tell me what to do. Just really do this, this, this and this. And no one seemed to be able to do that. Whenever I rang any of the helplines up, it was like, oh, look after yourself, be kind to yourself. Yeah, it sucks, and that was good and everything, but I wanted someone just to tell me what to do. And no one could really tell me what to do until someone did, finally. And it was quite confronting, what they told me to do. Radical, I suppose, in some way. It was about stop enabling and really defined and drew the line in the sand sort of thing, to stop just repeating the same behaviours over and over again. Just to draw a line in the sand and make changes, which was really hard to do, but when you look down the road, it was the right thing to do. Other people would disagree. I know other people's friends' opinions would differ, and you have to put yourself out there to take that on the chin, because not everyone sees the same situation the same. But this is where it's really important, I think, that you've got a strong person, a partner who backs you up. My husband often says he's been a passive parent, but because he sees me as a more stronger parent in some ways, but then when things go really bad, I'll sort of turn to him. But I think if you talk in private and get your game plan out there, so you're not giving mixed messages, you've got to be on the same page, whether it's right or wrong, you've got to be united. Yeah. I mean, and that sounds a bit like it's them and us, but often it is. Messy, chaotic, violent at times, noisy, loud, disturbing, challenging, and look, there's no easy answer. Probably someone told me to be always there listening, and I suppose that's the biggest takeaway. If you can listen and be there, available, keeping communication open and available all the time. Maybe you mightn't agree with them. As a parent, probably you can think, well, what are my kids going to remember? What's the big takeaway that my kids are going to get from me? It would probably be nothing to do with how you discipline them or put controls up there, just the fact that you were there, you got them, you understood them. You didn't have to agree with them, but you were always available there when they needed you. Probably trying to be too controlling. Yep. And they've said this, you were too controlling, you should have let go more. Well, that's easier said than done. Being able to let go when you've raised them and you've got these expectations, and then all of a sudden they're not your cute little 9-year-old. They've completely changed overnight, and that's what it seemed like. And you've got no control, and they're doing all this stuff that is just so far away from what you consider appropriate. Being too controlling, being too rigid. Yeah, sure, have boundaries, but you've got to learn too where to pick your battles and where to back off. I'm actually a primary school teacher, upper primary, so they're just starting to hit those teenagey type years. The parents who are very, very anxious, and that anxiety feeds into the kids. So anxious parents, anxious kids. As a teacher, not being not trying to be too in people's faces about protecting my kids or coming in to save my kids, which as a teacher I see happen all the time with parents. You know, they're just trying to save their kids, step in and save them, which is a natural thing to protect your children, but it's also pretty painful. So I suppose in some ways I might have done my kids a bit of a disservice by not being over attentive, too much of the squeaky wheel sort of thing. And maybe that was something I could have changed depending on the child. Some of the kids didn't want me there, but others probably could have done with me being there a bit more. You can't just take technology away from kids. You can't, or take their phones away. You just can't do that. So I suppose, and that's probably something that I did because we were right at the beginning of that. And we were like, stop the internet, take the phones off them, and that just created tension and trouble that didn't have to be there. Look, it is an issue, it is a problem, the social media aspect, especially for girls. Well, I think for girls and boys actually, the comparing and this is the ideal. But then we used to have that with TV, we used to have that with magazines. So is it really that much different? Make sure you've got a significant other that you can talk to about it. That's really important. So whether it's your partner, your husband, friend, someone that you can share and bounce ideas off and talk to. So, it's much easier if there's two of you. If you can't do anything, just be available. Listen, don't expect anyone to tell you what to do. Like I was expecting someone to say, do this, this and this. That's not going to happen. Just accept it and just be in there for the long haul and just take it step by step, and you will get through it.
And where are you at now, having that they're a bit older?
Well, I'm getting a lot of feedback from them. And I'm getting them saying, how they're going to be the best parents ever. So that will be interesting. And I hope they are. I hope they are the best parents ever. Yeah, definitely in their 20s it's easier. But you're still parenting, but you're parenting with an authority. You have no influence really. You're parenting with no authority. So even though you might be able to see really clearly what they should be doing, you can't voice that. You've just got to sit there and listen to them and go, okay.